welcome to another edition of the Australian Formula One podcast, episode 39. And first of all, we just want to say, mate, it's the last podcast of the year before the last race.
Yep.
And we were doing some podcasts in the off season and throughout the whole season. So, you know, mate, it's our last podcast before the last race. It feels good.
Yeah, it does. It's a bit sad as well. It's the last podcast of the regular season, as Pep says. But we hope to do some more podcasts during the off season, as we did last year when we started.
Yep.
We've got a few ideas up our sleeve. Anything you guys would like to see, by all means, send us an email. But we do have a couple of things up our sleeves, mate, which we hope to unleash on you all during the off season.
Yes, Max. We've talked about a few video ideas, so we'll be doing that during the off season. And we've still got a race to go, but I guess the season's gone so quickly. I can't believe. I guess that's part of the thing, mate. You can't believe that there's only one more race to go.
Yeah, exactly. And then we go into that horrible season called the off season. But I think before we all know it, cars will be released in January, and off we go again.
All right, Max. Well, we've had China, we've had the Shang.
The Shang.
And,
the Shang. Not.
And Lewis certainly opened up the championship by beaching himself there on the pit entry, Max, in the gravel.
Yeah, he sure did. And I think Kimi Räikkönen also opened the championship by winning. So good to see Kimi back on the...
Imagine if Kimi came through and won. Anyway.
Yeah, well, that's true. But yes, a good race as far as the championship's concerned. It was fantastic. I think that we're in a three-way tie at the moment, mate.
It's been a long time, mate. Three drivers can win it, and also two wet races in a row, Max.
Yes, indeed.
It was really good to see changing conditions, and again, see the drivers like taking gambles, and
for sure.
Some drivers winning and some drivers not. But
there's one driver that really didn't win.
But Shanghai was a good race, and now we've got one more to go, mate. We've got Interlagos, and we've got the Largs.
I love the Largs, but just before we go on to Interlagos, mate, I think most people would want our comments on Lewis Hamilton beaching his car in China.
Yes.
With victory in sight, not to mention his world championship in his rookie year. That just slipped on by, and maybe we're lengthening the agony. I don't know, but I mean, Pep, what was he doing out there on those tyres when they were absolutely destroyed?
Mate, it was quite obvious that the tyres were bad, and you could say that he should have just read the conditions of the tyre and not braked as late as he did into that corner. Pretty embarrassing mistake, I've got to say, but the world's been sort of waiting for Lewis to slip up, and he made a little slip up there, and he's opened things up. Yeah,
mate, I'd agree with that, but I'd also think that as far as blame is concerned, and someone has to wear it, I think you'd all agree that we're stunned that McLaren didn't call him in any earlier. It seems to be in the press recently as well that Bridgestone are very affronted at the treatment that they feel they've been given. Their diagnosis was that he should have come in 5 laps prior to him being called in. And Bridgestone not wearing any responsibility for what happened, and nor should they. I just thought it was obvious when you could see the canvas on Lewis's, I think it was his rear right tyre, for the last couple of laps. It was pretty much time to call him in.
So the team made a mistake and kept him out too long.
I think they made a gross error. I don't know what communication Lewis had with McLaren. I don't know whether he was screaming into his helmet saying, "I can't hold this much longer, I need to come in."
Yeah.
I don't know. But unfortunately for Lewis Hamilton, history will dictate that he didn't win the Chinese Grand Prix in 2007, I think because of some sloppy work from McLaren.
Well said, mate.
And there you have it.
The team made a mistake.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But it's opened the championship, and here we are in Interlagos, the last race of the season, and three drivers can win it. They can win the championship.
Well, Max, all during the week it's been pretty obvious to me that there's no chance at all that Alonso is going to stay with McLaren next year. There's rumours of a 3-year deal with Renault, subject to him being being able to get out of his contract with McLaren.
Yeah, apparently he signed a letter of intent for 3 years at Team Reggie. Yeah, of course there are certain caveats to that, Pep, as you quite rightly point out. I mean, Ron might just want to sit him out next year, who knows? He may very well race for McLaren next year. But I think Pep and I, along with some of you guys as well, neither of us believe that Fernando Alonso will be at McLaren next year.
No.
And I think you'd find a very happy and welcome home at Renault, mate, who incidentally, I keep harping on about this in my comments, Flavio has already identified all the problems with this year's car. I think they did that quite some time ago, and they won't make the same mistake twice next year. So what better motivation where he knows all the personnel?
Yeah.
And off he goes again next year.
Mate, I agree to an extent, although I think that there's no way that Alonso's going to be at McLaren next year. No chance.
Yeah, he won't be.
It's not going to happen. So the question begs, of course, who's going to replace him. But
we're not going to find that out for quite some time,
Yeah.
I don't think. We can all speculate, as we all have been, and we've all proffered our preferred candidate, but we're not going to know for some time. But that's what makes the off-season even more exciting.
Yeah. And for me, it's Alonso to Renault. So, and we'll see what happens from there.
Yep.
But mate, during the week there's also been some other things happening. Alexander Wurz has decided not to race anymore, Max.
A sad day for Formula
and
One.
Ralf Schumacher, who we've been enjoying his comedy antics this year,
A happy day for Formula One.
has decided, Max, that he's not going to be with Toyota next year.
Oh man, I don't know if I can cope with that. That's terrible. We're not going to have a Schumacher on the circuit again next year.
Well, he's scrambling. He's scrambling for a seat, mate, and we'll see.
Well.
But no Alexander, and comes no surprise to me that Alexander's not going to be racing next year, mate. Nico just slapped him all year, frankly. So
Yeah, and I think Alex realised that his time had come. A fantastic test driver, a more than handy and a more than useful driver. For all intents and purposes, a really lovely guy. Then it'll be sad not to have a Wurz somewhere associated with the top echelon or the upper echelons of Formula One.
yeah. And mate, all I can say to Ralph is good luck, Tiger. I have no idea who would sign you for next year, but there's all sorts of rumours. You know, Ralph's done the usual thing, Max. He said, I want to build a young team. I want to make a young team fast again. You know, other language for don't pay me much money, but just please keep me in Formula One.
Yeah,
Super Aguri and
anyway,
Toro Rosso and all
you're all
those
on the
rumours.
market now as far as Ralph's concerned, mate. And you bring up a valid point. It's not about the money or anything like that. I'm an asset, I have experience and all this sort of thing. Yeah, you do have the money, and there's a reason why. It's because you've been paid an overly inflated salary for years.
And you're dying to stay in Formula One at any cost.
At any cost. So all of a sudden, those teams 2 or 3 years ago that you would have laughed at and derided privately, all of a sudden seem extremely appealing. Look, for comedy value, I hope you are in Formula One next year. If you're not, I won't miss you, and I think you've done a disservice to some of the teams, in particular Toyota.
Yeah.
They're not the quickest car, not the best car, but you haven't really lived up to expectations here. Bye.
Bye, Ralph. So there's plenty to go in the silly season, and we'll be talking more about it, Max, in future videos, of course, about where other drivers will go. But until then, we've got Interlagos, mate.